Hey guys, Chris from Hockey Tutorial, and today we're going to be taking a look at unwaxed and waxed laces. We're going to be looking at the advantages and disadvantages of the both of them. So one of the things that I really like about the Elite Hockey laces is that they have two different coloured boxes for the two different types of laces. You have the silver boxes over here for your unwaxed laces, and the black boxes over here for your waxed laces, which makes it nice and easy to distinguish the difference between the two. They also display the length of the lace on the box right there, so it's nice and clear and easy for you to see, which is an important thing to mention, that your hockey laces do come in several different sizes, so it's important to make sure that you have the right size before you buy them. If you've ever bought a pair of laces and you found that once you've put them on your skates, they don't fit like your old ones and you have a lot of excess lace at the end, so you have to tuck them in to try and get rid of the excess, you've probably picked up the wrong size. The easiest way for you to get the right size is to just take the laces that are on your skates or that you first got with your skates off, stretch them out, measure them, and after you've got the size in inches, which is important to mention, you'll know exactly what you need to go after. So taking a look at the advantages of your wax laces over the non-wax laces, the first and most obvious advantage is that they stay tighter much longer than your standard laces over here. Because of the wax property that's been put on them, they're a lot stiffer, and whatever position these laces are put in, they stay in that position. And if these laces are tied together, they stay tight, they don't slip around or unravel, and they also don't stretch and retract, which makes them nice and easy to tie up, and they stay tight after you've done them up. They're also a lot easier to put through the eyelets or the holes on your skates once you're trying to lace a skate up, and that's because of the wax property that's been put in them. You can see that it's almost like a stick, so it's nice and easy to put through without having to fiddle with it too much, which I definitely like. Whereas if I compare it to the cotton laces over here, you can see that that just flops around. Look at that, it's very difficult. You have to get really close and with your fingers to get the laces through the eyelets. With the wax laces, they also last much longer when compared to the cotton laces. The fibres on these wax laces are much more refined, they're a lot stronger, a lot tougher, and they also repel water. So they won't get saturated with water like the cotton laces over here, so they won't pick up a horrible colour after such a short amount of time of use. They won't start to smell, and they won't start to break down as quick as the cotton laces, which is really good. The wax laces also allow you to tie your skate in different levels of tightness in different portions of the skate, which is a really good feature. But in terms of how successful this feature is, I've only found that it works for very limited amounts of times. I'll show you exactly what I mean by getting a skate example for you. So using the EQ50s from Easton as an example, some skaters might like different portions of their skates done up differently. So you might want the bottom portion to be done tight, the middle portion to be done sort of soft or loose, and the upper portion by the ankle to be done up tight. The problem with the standard cotton laces is that when you pull them and then you try and let go to grab another section to pull the lace and get that bit tight, they just retract and they'll just relax and go back to how they were before you pulled them. But with the wax laces, once you pull the lace and let go of it, it stays in the position that you've put it in, because these laces can't stretch. To get the wax on there, the way that the laces are made is that they're stretched out, then they're dipped in the wax. So they don't stretch, which is one of the reasons that they stay exactly as you leave them. So you can do different portions of your skate up however you like. But keeping in mind, I found personally that this has only worked for short amounts of time, but it's still an advantage over these standard traditional laces. So continuing on with the advantages of the wax laces, these are also much easier to grip when you're putting them on your skates. A lot of the laces, or wax laces, but particularly the brands that we're looking at over here, feature what we call fused tips. If I just get that nice and close for you, you can see that it doesn't feature those plastic caps that they put on the end of the laces, which if they come off are really annoying to put back into your skates, because the ends of the laces blow out, making them really difficult to poke through, and you've always got to get something sharp to poke through the eyelet hole to get your skates through. So these feature the fused tips, which last a hell of a lot longer and are much better, as you can see there, if I get a bit closer there for you to see. So I definitely recommend going for laces that have these fused tips, because it just makes things so much easier. Moving on from the fused tips, the wax laces also repel the water a lot better than the standard cotton laces. These would just get saturated with the water, they break down as we said earlier on, so these are definitely much better. And as we said earlier on, they also don't stretch. So if I show you what I mean by that, if I lay the lace out and I hold onto it and I pull that, regardless of how hard I pull, the lace will not stretch, because these are already stretched out before they have the wax coated on them, so they don't stretch. If I move that aside and show you the cotton ones, exactly the same thing. Pull that out. If I pull that, you can see that it stretches, and that's the reason that they're so hard to keep tight, because they they expand and retract when you're doing them up, which makes them very difficult to get one uniform tightness around the entire body of the skate. So moving on from there, taking a look at the disadvantage of the wax laces. There aren't anywhere near as many disadvantages as advantages with these laces, but it's important that we touch on those as well. So with the wax laces, the main disadvantage that I'm sure everyone has come across is actually the result of one of the advantages of it. It's very good to tie up and it stays tight, but trying to do the opposite of that, to untie it, isn't very easy. Once these skate laces are done up, they can be very, very difficult to undo because of the wax properties. They stick together and they hold together very well, which makes them quite a nuisance to undo. After a while, depending on if you do your laces up with your gloves or if you've got somebody else to do them up for you, these can also be very, very irritating in terms of how they feel on your skin. They can also be a lot rougher on your skin and your hands than the cotton laces, which are much, much softer. And also they can sometimes snap unexpectedly, which is some of the things that we've experienced with these laces, but that's only on rare occasions. But I'm sure some of you know exactly what we mean. Because of how much wax is applied to them, they can be quite tough, but in areas of these laces they can also get quite brittle and just literally snap off, which is something that is important to mention. So from there we're going to take a look at the disadvantages of your cotton laces, which is where you quickly see that the wax laces come up on top. With the cotton laces, they're not very easy to tie without having to retie them because they have that property where they stretch, which is quite annoying. They look very horrible after they've been worn, which doesn't really help, so you're going to have to replace these much more often than the wax laces. They also get thinner and thinner as you use them, which affects the way that they stay tight on your skates. So not only do the wax laces stay tighter, but they'll last longer than these ones, because as they get thinner, they do an even worse job of staying tight on your skates, which is really annoying. They're not very easy to grip because they don't feature that wax property. If you get cheap ones that aren't made by these guys over here, which are the Elite Hockey laces, they don't have those fused tips, which means that the ends will blow out and they'll be very, very difficult to put through the skate's eyelets. They don't last anywhere near as long, as we've probably mentioned quite a few times. You can't have different portions of the skate tied differently, as we showed you previously with the wax laces. And also water will soak into these like a sponge. So not only will they break down much quicker, but they get wet, which means they can also begin to smell, which definitely isn't something that you'll want. So as you see, the wax laces do have a huge list of advantages over the unwaxed laces, but it's always down to personal preference which ones you prefer. It's also important to mention that the unwaxed laces do come in a massive variety of colours, whereas the wax laces can be a bit tricky to find custom colours if that's what you're after. But you can see that the wax laces do have a lot more features that would probably be more desirable to somebody that doesn't want to have to constantly replace their laces, or somebody that plays a lot of hockey and doesn't want to always be on the bench having to tie their laces up. So after having gone through both of these laces over here, your unwaxed and your waxed laces, which one's your favourite and why? Do you prefer the unwaxed or do you prefer the waxed? Be sure to leave your comment below, and if you like this video, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Take care till next time, guys.